Good morning, everyone. It is Stacy. We are loving my veteran, and this is walking in my shoes this morning. Oh, I am late. Sorry. I just realized how late I was. Just want to say good morning, get some coffee in, because it's always a good thing when you have coffee in the morning. So I want to say good morning. Give us a brief update of what's going on. Do not forget, um, Elisa has been generous enough to host a fundraiser for Loving My Veteran through her Origami Owl stuff. It is on the link. Good morning, Sarah. And yes, I can do today. I'll send you the link. Sorry. Um, so that is today. We also have Let's Talk tonight. Make sure you are in the group and get the link to that to join Let's Talk tonight. We always have so much fun. Great way for us to unwind. We have veterans on. Your veteran is welcome to come as well. So that is available tonight. So we have that. What else do we have going on? Great. Boot camp is full. So excited. Everybody who is registered for boot camp, they will get the email by this weekend with some surveys and some stuff to kind of get us ready to get ready for boot camp, because boot camp is full. It starts in the second week of September. With that said, let's get started. This is on pushing buttons. Not proud of it. I am an expert on button pushing. I am the expert button pusher. I probably could win an Olympic gold medal when it comes to pushing buttons. I have learned that from the time I was little. And button pushing, y'all, is no more than manipulation, by the way. Just want to say that. Button pushing is no more than manipulation, although I am the expert at button pushing. Good morning, Melissa. So I own that. I don't want anybody else to have that title, because I guess I need to learn to give that title away. But I truly am the expert at pushing buttons. So we learn kind of from an early age what sets people off. Because the truth is that we as human beings, by nature, by animals of nature, want that dominance thing. We want that to be the top of the totem pole, the top of the food chain. We all struggle to go up in that food chain. And I guess I kind of learned that when I was watching Life Below Zero. But it is the wolf that takes out this, and then I didn't realize how like nasty a little Wolverine was, and but it is about becoming the top of the food chain and having control. In packs, there's alpha dogs. People do that. They want to be the alpha. They do that at work. They want to be the alpha. We all tend to do that. It is a nature thing. It is something that is nature driven and is inside of us. Let me answer this real quick. And is inside of us. It is what we do. Okay, it is what we do, whether we like it or not. We want to move to the top of that food chain, being dominant. And to get there, we push buttons. We don't realize it. Sometimes we don't realize some of what we are doing is truly button pushing, but I am the expert on it. I don't mind telling you, I own that title. I could push buttons with my parents. Not that I'm proud of it, but I could push buttons with my parents. And when my kids were little and I needed something or I wanted something, I always mentioned, well, it's your grandchildren. Okay, so if I needed money, and I'm like, but it's for your grandchildren. Y'all, my mom and daddy were like the ATM. Do, 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 do. Okay, and finally one day my mom said, I don't care. Okay, I don't care. Stacy, look, I'll come get the kids. We'll come do that, but we're not going to be responsible and accountable anymore. And I said, but the great, we'll come get the kids. So I pushed the button one too many times. And we have that ability to do that. We have that ability because we know what gets under people's skin. And the bad part is that the more we know somebody and the more we love somebody and the more we are with somebody, the better we become at pushing those buttons. And we do that because we know them so personally and we know them so intimately, and we know that that will trigger them or will shut them up, we hope, which never does in my case. When I push his button, it is never a good thing, because when I push those buttons, we go right back to, we create a debate, as he called it. It becomes like an argument, a full-blown argument, because I am really, really, really good at pushing buttons. And you don't realize that what you say becomes so hurtful. And, we play the tit for tat game. I think we've talked about this too, kind of like playing Pong on the old Nintendo. We say something hurtful, they say something hurtful. We say something hurtful, they say something hurtful. And Carl said something last night. He said, the thing I remember in my life from past relationships are the bad things. So I don't do them again. And I'm like, because it's always like, well, in my past relationship, I heard that a lot. And so last night, y'all, I'm telling you, this was the lowest of low of button pushing on the planet. It was, well, based on past relationship experiences. So I got up from where I was sitting on the couch and I went over in the living room and grabbed a chair that was sitting at a table and I turned it around and I put a pillow in it and I patted it and I said, hi. He said, who are you doing? I said, this is your past relationship. That actually mentioned her by name. That I'm inviting to the party because we live with her. And can I just tell you, that did not go over well. Can I tell you, that was the lowest of the low in button pushing. The lowest of the low that I could have done was to literally get up and turn that chair around. Now, can you really imagine me getting up, going over there, we're in the middle of this heated discussion, turn the chair around, set it down, and say, welcome, because you live with us anyway. Y'all, looking out at it now, it's like almost funny. But at the time, it was definitely not funny. It was definitely hurtful. And can I tell you also, I did not get the response I expected because I really respected the response to him kind of see where I was saying. And oh no, it didn't. It kind of turned really ugly. So when you push buttons, it does that. When you push buttons, it does that. When you say things like, I'm tired of this, you're always doing this, or you're not good at this, or leave, okay? I'm done and get out. I'm done and get out. Probably my favorite words. Carl's like, I'm only happy and I know that you're still breathing if you kick me out of the house once a week. And that's sad because I do, and I never should do that. And you just want to kind of get out of my space, get out of my house now, because now all of a sudden when people cross into your space and stuff comes into your space and you get angry and you start spewing, it's like it pushes your bubble bigger. And so my bubble became like the whole house. And there's times that I feel like my bubble is the entire state and I want to be like, just get out of the state. Yeah, and you can't do that. I mean, that isn't even logical, but we do it. And so when we want more space between us and the situation, we push the buttons harder. And we take that harder and we say more hateful things and we push buttons and we antagonize and we don't realize that we're doing it, but we do, because the bottom line is that pushing buttons is the master of manipulation. That's it. We try to manipulate the subject. They do it too. Now, I'm not saying that they don't know how to push your buttons, because we do. We all know how to push buttons. That is not something that is exclusive to me. That is not something that is exclusive to you. That is not something exclusive to your veteran. That is not something exclusive to anybody. I learned to push buttons as a kid. That's where I learned. I've had 50 years of button pushing experience, and I'm good at it. Not that I'm proud of it, but I'm good at it. And so we all do it. Whether we're pushing buttons with our family, or my parents, whether I push buttons with my kids. Y'all, I learned quickly that the best way to get things done in my house with my kids was manipulation. Now, I can't believe I'm saying that, but I did. I learned that if I manipulated them, I could get done what I wanted done. It was a great thing. Carl says to me, you do that so you can get your way. And I'm like, no, I don't. And my head starts going like a chicken, right? No, I don't. I don't do that. And my bottom lip gets stuck out and I get all in this mood and I'm doing all this stuff going on. My head's bobbing and it's doing its thing. And I kind of get in a space. But the reality is that I'm doing nothing more than pushing buttons. And I've learned to do it really, 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 really well. And he gets mad, or he doesn't get mad. He says, I get mad. And I do. I don't even look at it now when I step out, and it's really hard to step out and look at yourself because that's scary. And he says, when you don't get your way, you're so used to getting your way. And I'm like, I'm not selfish. I don't get my way. I'm not spoiled. Yes, you do. Because I can push any button I need to push to manipulate that situation. I've learned to do that. I am the master at it. I am the master at it. And as your kids grow up and they kind of move away, if you always tell them, hey, I'm going to cook Nana something, whatever it may be, whatever my Nana cooked, I'm going to cook Nana's macaroni and cheese, or I'm going to go out and I'm going to do a Boston butt on the grill, on the smoker, or I'm going to go smoke ribs. See, the good thing about when I say I'm going to go smoke ribs is this. When I say to my kids, hey, y'all going to smoke ribs this week and you want to come out? What are you doing this weekend? Oh, well, I'm kind of busy. I was like, oh, well, I was thinking about smoking ribs. You want to come by? Yes. And here's the best part about it. When they show up, they're like, what time do you want to eat? And I'm like, I don't know, 2, 3. I'll be there at 6. Why are you going to be here at 6? Because I'm going to do the ribs. So I learned that, right? So if I threaten with ribs, y'all, they will be at my house smoking my ribs, because I know that if I don't really want to smoke the ribs, I just tell my kids that we're going to put them on the smoker, and they come over first thing in the morning and they're having like this competition about who smokes the best ribs. Does it really matter? Because at the end of the day, I got smoked ribs and I didn't do anything. Hello, button pushing 101. Yay, I got that. And I do it all the time. And we do it. We don't realize that we do it. But what happened, I got the results I wanted, but somebody came and smoked me ribs. I didn't have to clean them. I didn't have to cook them. I just paid for them and bought the charcoal. Hello. It's great. It's phenomenal. You don't realize how phenomenal it is. If I want the grass cut, I just go out there and say, oh, I think I saw a snake in the yard. When I say that, we get the grass cut. Because I know how to do that. I used to do it with my kids. It's like a trading thing. You know, how many times are we... And that's what I call that little thing of candy they got up by the register at the Walmart. Y'all, that's like the manipulation center. Because if our kids are good in the store, we're like, well, when you get to the checkout, I'm going to buy you this. Right? It used to be that the darn candy bars cost a quarter. Now they're like $3 or something stupid for a candy bar that is worth a quarter. But it was great to manipulate for a quarter. Hello, they could behave for a quarter. I liked that because I knew that that was a button I could push. I knew that was a button that I could push to get them to behave, to get them to the quarter candy bar. You see what? That's what we do in life because it's part of who we are. It's all about manipulation. Our life, people call it marketing, you can call it whatever you want. It's about manipulation. It's about gaining control over somebody else's actions. We see it every day, so no wonder we're good at it. Do you know how much money a company spends to manipulate you to buy something? How much money they spend to manipulate you to buy something? And I can't even remember the guy's name. The guy who did OxyClean, right? Right, and he did the infomercial on OxyClean and he died. He was the best manipulator of the button in the world. He could push the best button in the world. Here's the deal. Because your laundry was dirty, you had grass stains, but if you put that OxyClean in, it is clean and I put forth no effort and you need to buy this. And he begged and played off of your weaknesses, right? And when he did that, you bought the darn OxyClean. I did it. Y'all want to know how good I am when I did this? Y'all, I sold Kirby vacuum cleaners for a living, okay? So first of all, I am bringing this 900-pound vacuum cleaner up into your house. So somebody calls and sets up an appointment for me to come see you and show you this demonstration for a set of steak knives, okay? And then let me rephrase this. These set of steak knives came from like China, and they're like 66 cents for the set of steak knives. But you get that when you set up the appointment. You get it free, and you get a room in your house vacuumed and shampooed for free. That's what happens when you let the little Kirby people come in and sell you vacuum cleaner, right? So I did that for a long time, and I toted that 900-pound Kirby right up on in the house. Well, the thing about Kirby sales, I learned real quick that if you made people think they were living in dirt, they were going to buy it. I don't care if they didn't have bread, if they didn't have milk, if they didn't have diapers for their baby. If you put enough dirt in front of them, they would do without bread, milk, and diapers. I'm just saying, and they buy a vacuum cleaner. And it was called manipulation. We did it. I mean, that was a button. Nobody in their right mind wants their sweet, precious... Like, if I knew. If I went to a house that had small kids, my bosses and the other people were like, that's not a lead you want. And the other salespeople were like, Stacey, that's not a lead you want. They got kids. I'm like, that's exactly who I want. Give me everybody who's got the 2 and 3-year-olds. I don't care if they live in a trailer park. Doesn't matter to me. I don't care where they live. They can live in a tent. But you went out there, right, and you vacuumed, and so you vacuumed, and you vacuumed, and you got them to vacuum, and you vacuumed, and you kept laying all these dirt pads out. right? And so then you knew that they were seeing this dirt and they were going, ugh. And then if they were wobbly, and you could kind of tell if they were wobbly in their decision, y'all, if they had Junior like sitting in the walker, you lay them dirt pads near where Junior is, all around the ground around him, and you put them all up on the table right in front of where he's at, those people would sell a kidney to buy the vacuum cleaner because it was manipulation, and I was the master at it. I knew how to push those buttons just right. Like the national closing rate for the very best people ever who sold Kirby vacuum cleaners are like 2.1 units. Every time you go in and do a showing, you sell about 2.1 of them. Within 3 months of selling Kirby vacuum cleaners, I could sell them at 1.8 closing rate consistently because I made people feel like they were living in dirt, and that was manipulation, and I was really good at it. That's what advertising is. That's why you do it. People bought Kirby's because I made them feel like doo-doo. We buy some miraculous face cream because it's going to make you look better. It's manipulation. Well, if you can look like Cindy Crawford and she's in her 60s, buy this melon that came from France and stick it all over your face. Okay, I've never looked like Cindy Crawford when I was in my 20s. So I don't know why all of a sudden I think that because I buy some miracle face cream that looks like a watermelon, that I'm all of a sudden, okay, I'm all of a sudden the one who is going to put this stuff on 50 years later and look like Cindy Crawford. That ain't going to happen. But they bank on that. They buy on that. And that's what happens when we push buttons. Y'all, I am so good. I am so good at it. And yes, Sonny, you're right. There's also this power thing going on. You know, what was that game that we all played and you pushed the buttons and you slapped them and whoever got, it was like the hand slappy game or whatever. I wanted my hand on that button first. Have you ever watched Jeopardy? You know, those people push that little button. Whoever gets it lit up first gets to answer the question. And that's how I am with button pushing. I want to be the first one to push the button because I can see this conversation kind of going somewhere I don't want. Or I can see the situation going somewhere I don't want. Or I can see it going somewhere I don't like. And I just start pushing buttons. Because I'm good at it. Not proud of it, but I'm good at it. And I know that if I push the buttons first, I'm either going to get the desired outcome or we're going to end up in a fight. And somehow I can't figure out how to not push buttons because we won't end up in a fight because I'd probably get the desired outcome anyway if I just ask. But I don't. I push the button. Carl calls it sugarcoating. Sugarcoating is nothing more than pushing a bunch of buttons. That's all it is. And we do it, and we do it consistently, and we do it over and over and over again, and we don't realize that we are doing it, but we are doing it, and maybe sometimes we do it, we do realize it, but we are doing it, and we are pushing these buttons, and we create a situation we don't need to begin with. Because I'm telling you, when you push buttons, you got like a 75% chance it's going to backfire and blow up in your face. And you got about a 25% chance that it might go the way you want initially. But this is what happens. When it goes that way initially, then the next argument you get in, it gets thrown up in your face. Well, you pushed my button when it came to that. Well, why didn't you just say no? Because you really wanted it, honey. Or you really needed this. Why didn't you just say no? So it comes back to bite you anyway. Like 99% of the time, you got to hear it. When if you would just say, hey, I want this. I want this. You got a 50-50 shot then because the only answers then are yes or no. Right? The only answers then are yes or no. And you're not hurting anybody. You're not saying anything to anybody. You're not downplaying anybody. You're not making anybody feel like doo-doo. You are being positive about what you're saying. You're not pushing a button. And the reality is that we get farther by asking for what we want than by pushing a button to manipulate somebody what we want. And you know what I find even more amazing? It was hard for me to sit here. It was like this light bulb went off last night. It's hard for me to sit here and say, Stacey, you're a manipulator. Stacey, you're a manipulator. I'm like, what do you mean I'm a manipulator? I don't manipulate anybody. No, you're a manipulator. It was hard for me to do that. And I realized that I do it a lot because I think that's what we're going to get. The desired outcome because I'm going to manipulate well enough to get what I want. And I'm good. Y'all, if my mama was watching this right now, she'd be having like the hands up. That'd be my mama. You see all these little happy thumbs up thing. My mom would be blowing up the screen with the happiness because I am the master of manipulation. And all it is button pushing. And you don't realize that. And then we get mad because what happens? Other people do it to us, and then we call them out, and we're like, "Ooh, but they push my buttons. They push my buttons. They know how to get under my skin. They push my buttons. They know what to do to make me do this." You're darn right they do, because we all do it. And if you don't think you're pushing buttons, you are sadly mistaken. Go back and take a look at your day. Just take a look at today. Y'all carry some little piece of paper around and just put a little mark. Every time you manipulate somebody by pushing some button somewhere to get them to do what you want, because you're pushing the button instead of just asking outright, go back in and see how many times you've done push the manipulation button. Go see. Because I'm telling you, it will scare the shit out of you. You're either going to feel like the champion at it, or you're going to be like, wow, why did I do this? Why did I do this? You know, and the other thing I didn't realize that really pushed Carl's buttons is I'll get up and like I might be talking, we'll talk about some of the things that go on in the day, and I don't necessarily, not intentionally not tell him everything, because I do try to tell him everything, but some little fact in amongst our day might get kind of left out. So when I tell the story to my mom or to Michelle or whatever, I'll mention it, right? And he's like, well, I never heard that. I didn't hear that. And so sometimes the first time he hears it is me telling it to somebody else. And all of a sudden he said something about it last night, and I didn't get it. I didn't get it. He doesn't care who I talk to on the phone. He doesn't care who I talk to about anything on the phone. What he wants is he wants to be the first person I tell about something. He wants to be included first. I live with him. He is my partner in life. We share things. And if I don't tell him, right, I'm pushing buttons without even realizing I'm doing it. But then we already know that distrust is one of his buttons. So what do? When you start telling other people the story that you didn't tell them, right? They're like, and you're like, whoa, 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 whoa. But I didn't mean to. But you did. I didn't mean to. But, yeah. And so this is what you get. And you're like, but I really didn't mean to. I didn't realize that I need to do things. And then my typical response is, well, if you want to know everything that I say in a day, I suggest you clone my phone so you can listen to it anytime you want, because I don't always remember everything I say to everybody all the time. But if you want to hear all these phone conversations, either be on speaker, be in my life, be in my head, or clone my phone, because I'm tired of it. And he knows that pushes a button. So I will say that, because I want to like push this button to get to him before he can get to me about, well, you said to something else first. And I'm like, oh, sorry. Or, why didn't you tell me we had to do this? I did tell you. No, you didn't. Yeah, I did. It was in this long list of stuff that I kind of blurted out. But I didn't have time. Again, they don't process it well. So I know, okay, if I want to just slide things in, y'all, I give him a long list of stuff. I give him a long list of stuff. And I just thought it was so funny, because I give him like this long list of stuff to do, or that we're going to do, and then I can slide anything up in there, because he doesn't, he's like, well, can only process one or two things at a time, just one thing at a time, Stacey, that's it. But now you've given me 90 things. It's not that he forgot it. It's like, you didn't tell me. Oh, yes, I did. But I threw it in the list of 90 things so that I would know that you wouldn't really pay attention to it. We could do it anyway. And then I could say that I told you and I'm not lying to you. Yep, manipulation at its best, button pushing 101. And then the fact that he forgets something because I pushed his buttons by giving him too much stuff really sets us off, and that's where we're back at. And I think about how honest you have to be. And I was listening to Janine Roberts last night. Yeah, she is the funniest woman ever, right? She's married to Left Brain. But she was talking about that she was going to make a 7-Up pancake, because, people in the South, when people die, when they pass, we all kind of tilt our head and like, okay. So she gives everybody a 7-Up pound cake, because, and again, she's right. You just like she said, you can put your chicken on your grandmama's platter to be passed out at a funeral, but the girls in the kitchen are going to know that you didn't hand do the chicken, because you get points for hand making stuff. So anyway, she was making a 7-Up pound cake, and she had to go out of town, and so she sends her husband Left Brain to the store, and he says, I'm only going because I have something I have to do. I'm only going if I can go through the express lane, write it out. Well, she knew that she could only have X number of items in the express lane, so she numbered them, right? 1 to whatever, 1 to 10, 1 to 20, whatever it was. Well, here comes in Left Brain. It's taking him forever, and he's toting in these bags of groceries. She just needed enough stuff for a pound cake, one little bag of stuff. Nope. He is toting stuff in. She said it's hung everywhere. And I was like, I'm sitting here watching this, and I can just see where this is going. So she opens it, and she opens the bag, and then there's 1 pound of butter. Right on. Everybody knows you got a pound of butter in a pound cake, right? And then she looks at the next thing, and she said, there's 2 large bottles of vanilla flavoring. Well, nobody getting their right mind. A teaspoon at a time. How long is it going to take you to go through 2 big things of vanilla flavoring? All right, so the next thing she has is she has 3 dozen eggs. She needs 5 eggs for the whole thing. But what she had done when she found the list is she had numbered the stuff. So she knew how many items. But because he is so left-brained in the way he processes things, which I kind of laugh, and I think that's our veterans a lot of times, is he saw 1 pound of butter. 2, number 2 in her list, large bottles of vanilla flavoring. 3, right, dozen eggs. It didn't mean they want 3 dozen eggs. It was the third thing on her list. So here you're coming in, right? She gets like 5 bags of sugar, 6 bags of flour. I guess it was 4 bags of sugar, 6 bags of flour. And then she wanted 7-Up. And she didn't want the 2-liter bottle. She wanted the little bottle, so she told them to buy them in a 6-pack because that way, if they wouldn't go bad in between her making it the pound cake, so she could use them. It happened to be number 6 on her list. Okay, it was number 6 on her list. So here he comes walking in with 6 packs of 7-Up. Y'all, now I can see this. I can see this. And what happened was, he looked at her because she said she could have pushed his buttons in, and she goes, this man's got a doctorate degree. He can't even go grocery shopping 101. He got a doctorate degree. And she could have really gone on about it with that, and she kind of didn't. She found the list, and she folded it up, and she stuck it in her pocket. She just kind of laughed about it, and he looked at her and said, and I'm late for badminton because I didn't get to go in the express lane. And the reality was, she had did exactly that, number the stuff. He did exactly that, wanted to make sure that it was dead on right. So he picked up the number of items she had listed. Of course, he didn't realize at the time it was in sequential order. And he got to be away from his stuff. So what had happened at that point? She could have pushed his buttons. He could have pushed them back, and they chose not to. Because you talk about button pushing manipulation. Y'all, that would have been hysterical, because I would have been pushing all kinds of buttons with that. I'm just saying, if that would happen in my house, which I can see it happen in my house, and as she was telling the story, I could literally see this, because Carl is so intent on doing things right. The way, when I outline something, hey, I'm going to do exactly what she says, okay? And I can be one of these people who will tell him, hey, look, the pizza needs to go in the oven at 6 o'clock, and it's going to sit there for 20 minutes. He might put the pizza in the oven at 6 o'clock. But if I don't say, look, that oven needs to get on 380 or whatever it is, the pizza don't go in the oven. It just may not be on. And we do that. And so we push buttons and we create this negative environment all too often. So then they get emphatic and they don't question what we're writing or what we're saying or what we're doing because we're so used to pushing the buttons. And she could have come in to him and said, look, all I hear about is your doctorate degree, but you got a PhD and you can't do grocery 101. See, I would be all over that. That would be me. I'd be like, well, Mr. MIT, that didn't work for you so well, did it? You can't even pass Kroger. I mean, that would be me. I can just see me saying that. Pushing those buttons. Telling him how inept he is. When she really wouldn't have been out to intentionally tell him he was inept and wasn't good at it. But it would have pushed those buttons to make him feel that way. And we do it. And we do it all the time. And we don't realize that we're doing it. And sometimes we do realize it. But it's become who we are. It's the coping mechanism of the world. It's the hierarchy of nature. We have to have an alpha dog. We have to have the leader of the pack. We have to have that in our lives. And that's okay. But in a good partnership, relationship, there are times he leads and there are times I lead. I'm not real good at accepting that. Because if I'm not leading, I'm going to push the buttons because that's what I do. I'm good at it. Don't take away my one true talent. Don't take away my talent of button pushing because I'm good at it. So I just want you to think about how we push buttons, how we can push buttons, how they push buttons, but how it's human nature to push buttons. And all but button pushing is true manipulation. That's it. But I will advise you one more thing, just a heads up for you people with your veterans. If they have a past life and they want to compare your relationship to their past one, it is not advisable to turn the chair around, put a pillow in it, and welcome the past relationship to your household. That was the lowest of the low of the button pushing I have ever been. I will say it was good, but it was low. And it was very hurtful. And I'm not going to hurt him intentionally. That is so wrong. I would never do it intentionally. But you don't realize when you push buttons sometimes how it hurts. And then they push buttons, then we push buttons, or they push button first, and then we push buttons. And it becomes this button pushing fiasco, and we're all hurting each other, and that's what goes on. And that is so wrong at every level. And then we don't understand why things don't work. So, I'm going to get off of here. Please do not forget all of the amazing stuff we have going on. Let's Talk tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. The link is in the groups. Please go to the groups to get that link. It is an event there. You need to do it that way. So please do that. Boot camp is full. Anybody who has signed up for boot camp, for this session of boot camp, it is full. Be expecting emails this weekend. And please go to the boot camp group page or group camp page. I will also put that link on all of this stuff. Even if you did not sign up for boot camp, you still may get some really interesting stuff coming out of there and different insight coming out of that page leading up to boot camp and all during boot camp. The next session of boot camp, I can't even talk today, will start in October. And that will be for 6 more weeks. And that will take us through the end of the year. So we'll have 75 seats in the October session as well. I've already got people who are asking me about signing up for October, so we are going to put that out. That'll be sometime middle of next week. You'll be able to go ahead and pre-register for the October boot camp if you didn't get in this one. I think that's all we have today. We will see y'all on Let's Talk tonight. I am Stacy. This has been Walking in My Shoes. We are loving my veteran. Don't push a whole lot of buttons. Bye.